pumpkin spice goodness. Well, hello everyone. Today we are here to do a fairly gigantic book haul. So grab yourself a pumpkin spice, a cup of tea, whatever you need. Let's settle in and get into the books. Now, the vast majority of these books are creepy books. Perfect for this time of year. I have one book, only one on the list that is not creepy, and it will scream out to you as we go through. Now, the first box I need to open is a very exciting one. This is Book of the Month. My Book of the Month box came in. I'm working with them again this month. And one thing that is extremely exciting, and I mentioned it fairly recently, is that Book of the Month is coming to Canada. We have annoyed them enough. I feel like I have annoyed them enough because every time they want to work with me, I'm always like, please come to Canada. I think they were just like, fine, you know, April is so annoying. We just want to shut her up. And so we will come to Canada. They're coming at the end of this month. So we really don't have a long way to wait. Originally, it was just sometime in the fall. And I was like, well, that can mean a lot of things, okay? End of the month is really not long to wait at all. I know so many of you guys are excited. I'm excited. I will say, if you are interested in getting Book of the Month, their offer this month for October is, if you sign up with them, you can get your first book for $9.99 using the code TREAT, as in like trick or treat, treat. Treat yourself to Book of the Month. Now, they sent me the list of options this month, and I chose two books that just screamed out to me. You will completely understand. Here is the fancy dancy box, and the first, oh, what is happening? Why can't I open? Oh, here it is. I need more coffee because I don't know how to open a box, a simple box. Ooh. Everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. So the first book I chose for Book of the Month in October is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I've never read a Catherine Steadman before, and you'll have to let me know in the comments below if you've read her before, if you've liked her. She's written a couple of books that I know about, like Something in the Water I've definitely heard of, and I think I've seen around. But this one just, oh, it's just right up my alley. First of all, this takes place at Christmas time, so I'm planning on reading this very creepy book at Christmas. You know, nothing says joy to the world like murder. So The Family Game follows a newly engaged couple. We meet a blossoming, wow. Why can't I say blossoming? We meet a blossoming writer, a novelist, who is recently engaged to a man who comes from a lot of wealth, and I mean a lot. Now, he has tried to sever ties with his family for many years because I think the family is off a little bit, maybe greedy, maybe not such nice people. Now, he's tried his best. However, news has spread, and the family has learned that their son is recently engaged. And so they encourage them to come and meet. And when this novelist, whose name is Harriet, meets Edward's father, Robert gives Harriet a tape of a book that he is apparently writing, which is like, first of all, I would not be interested in that moment. Like, you just met me and now you want me to edit your book and review your book. Like, no, thank you. But maybe I'm just a horrible person, which is very possible. She is a nice person and is eager to listen, but as she presses play, listen to this. It's clear it isn't just a novel, it's a confession to murder. It sounds perfect and genuinely is not very long, like just over 300 pages. I am very excited to read this. We'll do our usual and read the first line. Prologue, Sunday, December 25th, like perfect Christmas book. I come to on the parquet floor of the entrance hall, my face pressed hard against its antique wood, with the clear knowledge that this is not how Christmases should go. I love that line. 5-star first line. Totally intrigued. Not a way you want to spend your Christmas unless you're reading it, and then it's fine. Now, the other book that I asked for from Book of the Month is a book that I want to add to my October TBR. I didn't mention it in my October TBR because I didn't have these books in my hands at the time. I just didn't want to ruin anything until I had it in my hands. And this is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. I believe this is her first book, and it's meant to be funny and extremely, extremely dark, because in this book, we're meeting someone who works literally in hell. This man is on the cusp of getting a promotion, but he must do one thing before he can get that. And that is to lure one more family member from this notorious family to sell their soul. That's all he has to do. And so that's what he goes to do. And he immerses himself in this family and tries to lure people to hell. It just sounds like so much fun. It's got a lot of hype. A lot of other writers are, gushing about this. So let's read the first line. This is before. You already have a lot of ideas about hell, which is very true. I just think it's going to be so easy to read and light. And this honestly might be my next read. So Sign Here is the other book that I got from Book of the Month. So let me know if you end up signing up, especially all the Canadians out there. Like I would just love to know if you end up, getting a little treat for yourself. So moving on, I've got actually quite a few books that were sent to me by publishers, which I feel very, very lucky for. St. Martin's Press sent me The Death of Jane Lawrence. So I guess this has recently come out in paperback. And first of all, this cover, so sinister and yet beautiful. How is it both at the same time? This is the magic of graphic design. It really is. And they also sent me these really fun stickers to go with them. So I don't know. I think I might actually add that to my laptop at work. Oh, people will wonder. But you know what? They're probably already wondering. And many of my coworkers already know that I like the creepy things in life. So this is such a fascinating book. It is about a woman named Jane Shoringfield. And she has decided that in this time of her life, this is a period piece. So in this time of her life, the best thing for her going forward is to marry someone, settle down, and have that reassurance that her future is not going to be chaos. Just have a little stability. And so she finds a man who is a very handsome doctor named Augustine Lawrence. And he does propose to her, but on one condition. She must never visit his home, Linridge Hall. It's a crumbling family manor. She's just not meant to ever go. She completely agrees. However, on her wedding night, for some weird reason, she accidentally ends up stranded at the door of Linridge Hall. There's a huge rainstorm. She doesn't have anywhere to go. And so she is breaking that promise straight away off the get-go. She enters the house and she meets her husband, vastly different from the man that she married or thought she married. The man she married was very confident and self-assured. And then she meets him at this house and he's terrified and paranoid. They do end up going to bed, and when she wakes up in the morning, he's like back to his old self. But now she knows there's something wrong with this house, 100%. It sounds fantastic. So I've heard that this is, I don't know if it's a retelling of Jane Eyre, but it's inspired by Jane Eyre to a certain degree. So that, again, always draws me in. Let's read the first line, shall we? Dr. Augustine Lawrence's cuffs were stained with blood, and his mackintosh had failed against the persistent drizzle. Yep, 5-star first line. I need to read this. I need to read it. Next is Nikki French's new book. They have written the dynamic duo. This is The Favor. And this is coming out on October 16th, I want to say. 18th, I apologize, coming out on October 18th. And I just will read everything that they write. So this follows a woman named Jude. She is engaged to a man, perfectly happy. She's, I believe, a doctor. But her ex calls her randomly out of the blue. His name is Liam. And he says, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to pick me up at a country train station and don't tell a soul. Don't tell anybody. She also owes him. Years ago, there was an accident, a car crash that changed everything. I don't know if that prompted their breakup, but Jude has gone on since that accident and has pursued medicine. Liam, on the other hand, well, she's not sure what happened to him. And it becomes evident very soon after she does pick him up. She's like, listen, I'm not betraying my fiance. It's just literally a little favor from my ex. I'm not even going to tell him, not going to mention it. I'm totally devoted. But Liam has had, I think, quite a turn in his life. And I don't think he's a very upstanding citizen anymore. So the police show up at the station instead of Liam when she goes to pick him up. She realizes she knows nothing about this man anymore, and she's suddenly involved in his life in a way that she doesn't want to be. It sounds great. So let's read the first line of the Favor prologue. A scream ripped through the air. Although that shocks, it sucks you in, I don't think that's a 5-star first line. Why did a scream rip through the air? No. Not a 5-star first line, but I'm going to read it, of course. Next is The Personal Assistant by Kimberly Bell. This is coming out on November 29th, so a little bit to wait for you guys. I apologize, but maybe this will be worth the wait for you. This follows a woman named Alex who started posting online about her family life and like motivational posts. I don't know whether this is blog posts or Instagram posts. I'm not sure because I haven't read it. But she soon becomes an influencer. And I think a lot of the time influencers kind of end up just kind of flopping into that role. It just happens to them, luckily. But it's unluckily for Alex. She is kind of overwhelmed by managing this new role in her life. And she really can't do it all until she finds a personal assistant named AC. So all is well, things are really great. AC is fantastic at his or her job. And unfortunately, there is a post that Alex puts up online and it's controversial and her followers kind of turn on her. And as, of course, she's not sure what to do in this moment, she reaches out to AC for guidance, for opinions, for like figuring out what to do, like damage control wise. And AC just never writes back. And this is very unlike AC. AC is such a good personal assistant. And it looks like AC has now gone missing. And it turns out that police are looking to Alex and her husband for answers. And this swaps perspectives from Alex's perspective, then her husband's perspective, and then this AC person's perspective. So Alex starts digging into AC's identity and a woman is found murdered in the midst of it all. And so who can she turn to? Who is the danger here? What should she do? It sounds like a lot of fun. I've definitely enjoyed this kind of story before where you meet a personal assistant and the personal assistant has an agenda of their own. And I kind of like that. I enjoy that. So, okay, let's read the first line. Prologue. This is how it begins, flying down a country road. Not a 5-star first line, but we shall see. Okay, the next 2 books, I kind of treated myself. I went to Chapters or Indigo. It kind of goes by both names. A big, huge store in Canada. And I ended up getting 2 books. And this next one is the one that is not creepy in any way, shape, or form. But I'm excited about it a lot. This is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. Look how stunning this is. It's also a Heather's pick. Now Heather, who was the CEO of Indigo Chapters, is apparently leaving, and it has been bought by somebody else, and I don't know what that's going to change in the store. And everyone in the States and the UK right now, no, none of you really care, but I do, and all of my Canadian folk out there probably do as well, so we'll see what happens. In any case, The Marriage Portrait. I haven't read Maggie O'Farrell since reading Hamnet, which absolutely devastated me. You cannot finish that book and not be in absolute shambles. Like, I was crying so hard at the end. I finished the book, put it down, was still weeping for like 5 minutes straight afterwards. So that is the power of her writing. She's a gorgeous writer. Okay. I don't need to sell you on that. What is this about, April? This book actually does sound a little bit terrifying now that I'm reading it a little more closely. This takes place in Florence in the 1550s, and we meet a very young woman named Lucrezia. So young that she is barely into adulthood, like, I don't know, maybe 18. I don't know what that would have been thought of in the 1550s. She is very much into art and surrounded by artists. She is the third daughter of the Grand Duke, and her sister, her older sister, very sadly and suddenly dies. She was betrothed to a duke named Alfonso. So after the sister passes away, essentially her father is just like, well, then you marry him, Lucrezia. And she does. She ends up marrying this Alfonso. Now, this man is himself very immersed into the arts, but he is also into politics. And I think she is wondering who he is. Like, she didn't know him very well before when he was about to be her brother-in-law. But I think she soon finds out that she needs to figure out who he is pretty quick. Now, she moves into the court scene, and I don't think a lot of people are very thrilled to have her there or in any way welcoming. Her duty at this point is to give this man an heir. That's all she's meant to do. And until she's done that, her position is very, very rocky. And we meet her sitting for a painting. She is going to be painted by some person to preserve her image for centuries to come. And she is reflecting on this position that she did not expect herself to be in whatsoever. She is not prepared for it. Remember, she's a very young woman. I cannot imagine how terrifying this is. The only thing I can think of is like Marie Antoinette or something along those lines. I don't know. I really love that movie. Side note, I should really rewatch that. And that ended poorly. Let's read the first line of The Marriage Portrait. The title is A Wild and Lonely Place, Fortezza near Bondeno, 1561. Lucrezia is taking her seat at the long dining table, which is polished to a watery gleam and spread with dishes, inverted cups, a woven circlet of fur. I wouldn't say it's a 5-star first line, but it's not. But her writing is just good. It's just good. Like, I found myself like smiling through that because I just know this is going to be good. I feel like everybody who I've been in chats with, you guys who have read this have loved it. So I barely want to hear. If you didn't love it, I don't really want to know because I'm too excited. Now, I will take off this Heather's Pick sticker, but they can take a while. But anyway, to take off. Sometimes they're hard to take off. Back to the creepy books. Now, the other book that I picked up at Chapters, Indigo, whatever, is Chasing the Boogeyman. And this has been on my radar for a really long time. And it's funny because when I first heard about this, I thought it was a true crime book. It turns out it's like a fictionalized version of a true crime book, which is almost better. So this takes place in the summer of 1988. And this small town in Maryland is absolutely racked with fear because the bodies of several mutilated people, I think particularly girls, are being found all over the town. The police, the FBI, they are sure, and it seems quite evident, that a serial killer is upon them, and they really need to find him quickly, him or her, who knows, but usually it's a him. However, there is a rumor going around that the killer might not exactly be human. Of course, the FBI, the police are just like, that's ridiculous. No way. This is just a very intelligent serial killer who is outsmarting us. So we meet a man named Richard Gismar, and he is returning to his hometown. Oh, interestingly enough, that's the author's name. Maybe that's why I thought it was true crime. That's really clever. So he goes back to his hometown just as this little town has enacted a curfew. So he is starting to delve into this mystery of this serial killer. He's also in the midst of getting married. He's just about to get married. He's got this writing career, and he soon finds himself in the midst of this horror story. And it turns out that it's going to haunt him for years and years to come. I don't know if it comes close to home. Maybe his fiance is murdered. I have no idea. I'm just assuming at this point that it's going to come close to home. Sounds really creepy. And Stephen King, he got a blurb from Stephen King, so good for him. Let's read the first line, shall we? This is why I thought it was true crime. Listen to this. Forward by a completely different person, James Renner. I write about true crime, and sometimes I chase serial killers across the country. It's so, like, not a 5-star first line, but it starts with the forward, then it gets into the introduction. I just think it's a very cleverly written concept, at least. Clever concept. So we shall see what I think of it. That is Chasing the Boogeyman. And then last but not least, super random, I went to the pharmacy. Okay. I went to the pharmacy to see if I could find children's Tylenol, because if any moms or dads out there know, that's very hard to get at the moment. So every time I pass the pharmacy, I kind of try to go in and look around. I didn't find any children's Tylenol, but I did find a book for like $3. There was a whole bin, and this popped out, and apparently the reviews are very good for it. This is Theme Music by T. Marie Vandely. This follows 26-year-old Dixie. When she was an infant, 1 year old, her whole family was killed in the most horrible way. Her father basically massacred the family, and she was the only one left alive. And there was actually songs written about her. Now, she has really known nothing about this family. She grew up knowing nothing about it other than this horrible story. And so when that childhood home goes up for sale, she decides to buy it and move in. And I believe the house is haunted in one way or another. Apparently the ghosts of her family start popping up, and she starts wondering if she's losing her mind. Now, I don't know whether this means like literal ghosts, or she is haunted in another way by her family's passing, essentially. And it is about her story. Apparently it's actually quite a dark book, which you know I will like. Okay, let's read the first line. Prologue. When I was still in diapers, yet to be stripped of my innocence and tooth hopeful, my father excused himself from the breakfast table, made a casual exit out the back door, crossed to a fabricated shed hunkered in a bone-dry cradle of honeysuckle in the far back corner of our lot, fetched an axe, and dragged a muddy rut back across the dormant lawn. Yep, 5 stars. That's a good first line. And like really gritty. So yeah, I feel very lucky with all of these books and just feel super lucky. So let me know in the comments below, what out of all of these, which one would you be most like drawn to? Maybe there are none that you're drawn to. Hopefully there's at least one, and I'd love to know what that is. And also, if you have picked anything up in October so far that you're excited about, I'd love to know. And I will talk with you very, very soon. Bye, guys.